welcome to Hyperfixation Time. I'm Danny.
And I'm Erin.
We've been best friends since the second day of kindergarten, and this is the podcast where we drag each other and you down the rabbit holes we can't stop thinking about. Each week, one of us brings a surprise topic to the table, and together we dive into the weird, the wild, and the wonderfully random. From interesting animals to macabre mysteries to just curious human behavior, nothing is off limits. And we're learning right along with you. So let's catch up and then jump into this week's hyperfixation.
Right. Episode 8.
Yep. Ocho.
Oh, Jeff. Well, what has been up with you, Danny?
I've been busy. A lot of really fun things though. I didn't even know what to focus on in this episode, to be honest. So I'm going to list a couple things. But the very first thing I wanted to talk about is I needed to give you a big shout out and thank you because you helped me with my event recently.
Oh, yeah.
So for my photography business, I set up a booth at a local craft fair that they had. It was a really big event, and I was pretty stressed about doing this. And I definitely needed some assistance that day because it's just how can I set up my own tent by myself? And just, I don't know, I wanted company as well. So yeah, Erin came with me. She got up at 4:30 in the morning to make it there and spent the whole day with me. And even PJ came to say hi, which was so nice.
Yeah.
And I just truly appreciated your help so much.
Absolutely. No, it was honestly just really fun to just be there. I think we talked about at the beginning, it's sometimes for people, it's awkward to sort of promote yourself.
Oh, yeah.
But for me, when I'm trying to promote somebody else that I believe in so much, like you, it's just it was easy in terms of that. I think it was a busy event, which is good. I think that there was so much exposure, which is, yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool, getting to talk to people and just kind of making that face-to-face connection. And yeah, you did such a good job of shouting out, we have candy.
You did too, though.
I mean, I got there. Honestly, you helped warm me up, though.
Okay.
So yeah, I appreciate it.
I'm glad. No, it was fun.
But besides that, just been doing a lot of fun things. I went to the pumpkin patch with the family the other day, and we did the big corn maze, and that was a really cool time. It's just really fun. Leon's at that, really fun age where he can just do a lot more and really get excited for things. And so yeah, it was fun doing the maze together. And then another thing I've been doing with Leon recently is we have a membership for the local trampoline park. And they have specific times set aside for just kids that are 5 and under. And so he still, applies to that age range. And so I've been going there with him, but nobody else seems to know that this is a thing that's happening. So we keep having the trampoline park all to ourselves. And it's the most insane thing. I don't know.
Just a little secret that you guys have, but it shouldn't be, I guess, in terms of I'm sure it's advertised.
Yeah, it's just crazy just having an entire trampoline park just to yourselves for 2 hours. And we just work up a sweat and have so much fun.
I was going to say, that sounds great. Honestly, to have that, ideal if you're going to have that. But
it's so much fun.
Oh, good.
Yep.
How many times a week do you guys go?
Just once because unfortunately the other times kind of coincide with when he's in school. But
sure.
I mean, I think that's good. You don't want to burn it out either.
Yeah. True. Want to make it special. Absolutely. Oh, cute.
What have you been up to, ma'am?
Well, this past weekend I was in Minneapolis and I went and saw Lorde, who is one of my favorite singers of all time. She was really great. We had such a good time. I went with my friend that lives near Minneapolis and yeah, it was so good. It was just the frustrating part that we had was just her and I know every word.
Sure.
And I'm not saying that's required. I want you to like her as she is and whatever. But there were so many people that just were around us that didn't appreciate where they were in the moment. And so there was a bit of frustration there. We had this whole situation with a booth that we tried to get before, couldn't get. Then they didn't show up until like 10 minutes into when Lord came out. And it just was very like I just,
So
do you know what I mean?
what were they doing exactly that was like bothering you?
Like talking during her
Oh.
speeches, or just like not even paying attention, not even dancing. Again, yeah, it's fine. But it also was just like, we're in the back, just like, sort of dancing
Yeah.
the whole time, like hanging on her every word and just being like, God, we're such huge fans. And everyone around us, it seemed like, was either just like, they just didn't know.
Were you
And
guys like way in the back or where were you at?
no, so they had, it's kind of an interesting venue. So it's kind of like there's like a ground floor essentially where there's like general admission, right? And then there is another level where there's general admission, but you have to be 21 plus to be up there, and it's a lot more open. It's not as packed as like the normal on the ground, like on the floor general admission. So anyway, and then like just a step below that part where, so we were at that part where like kind of like up a little bit and you just, find your spot kind of thing. And we did the same. We had the same venue the last time we saw her, so we knew kind of what to expect. But there's just like these booths that you can have, that you have like a waitress, you can get food, it's just like you're a little bit, you're just, nobody's in your way. There's like standing room, there's sitting room, all of that. And we tried so hard to get that spot because it was pretty similar in price to what we had paid. And then there was an empty booth right in front of us, so like we can just like see down into these essentially. And it was very like, okay, I was like talking to the worker, I was like, if that one's not reserved, like we're open to it, kind of working through that. And then it was, but like by the most ungrateful people.
I see where the frustration lies.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like, and we're also like, I'm short, she's short, so I can't blame people for being tall, obviously, but it was just like they were like in the way, not paying attention, not caring about what was happening. And I was like, oh, we would have appreciated this so much if we would have gotten there. But again, I'm glad that she's being supported. So, I mean, no regrets. We had a really good time.
Cool. Did you guys do anything else in town?
The night before did some bar hopping and I think, but after the concert, we actually got a hotel down in the cities, and just we were just like, nope, we're tired. Let's go back. And yeah, so that was great. It was nice. It was honestly really nice to have that,
Yeah, sounds like a fun time. Besides the concert, what have you been hyperfixated on lately?
Yeah, I've been hyperfixated on Jane Goodall, who recently passed. It's been sad because I just admire her so much. So there's actually a documentary on Netflix called Famous Last Words, and it's like this interviewer who interviews people that, like, this is going to be your last, anything that you have for last words and everything like that.
Interesting. I didn't know this.
And it doesn't get released until they pass away. And I didn't know this until Jane as well.
What? Yeah, I feel like, how did I not ever hear about this? This is like such an interesting concept.
So interesting. I literally, like, I listened to it and I just bawled my eyes out the whole time. It was after, obviously after she passed, and she just had so much reflection, and I just said, admire her a ton.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that. That sounds neat.
Yes, I would definitely recommend it. She's very hopeful in that, and also just like, I just relate to a lot of the things that she says.
Right.
Obviously, like, we're all interconnected. We're all part of this natural world. We need to all work together to save it. The selfish people that are out there are doing the exact opposite, and we need more people like, I think, like, kind of like us, that we just care. I mean, it's easier said than done, but I just think like she also just feels like this life on Earth isn't the end. She was just, I don't know, very like retrospective and just
reflective.
reflective. That's a good way to put it. So I would highly recommend that. I've been pretty. I need to watch it again, but I also need a little bit of a break because I just like bawled the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, wonderful person, obviously. So yeah, that's been my hyperfixation of the week. But
It's a good one.
how about you?
Mine is nothing related to at all. I feel like that was like so deep, kind of, or
No,
just
that's
like
good.
special, or I don't know. Okay, so mine, I've been hyperfixated, I guess, on like, spooky content in general. So like watching spooky shows. Like I started watching this cartoon called Haunted Hotel. That's like kind
Ooh.
of Bob's Burgers vibes. But
What's
they
it
run a
on?
haunted hotel. It's on Netflix.
Ooh.
It's pretty cute. It's fun.
Okay.
And so I've been like watching that while I edit and stuff. And then besides that, I started a new video game called The Quarry.
Oh.
And it's so much fun. And I don't know that you would enjoy it, Erin, but because it's kind of a scary game. It's like a choose your own adventure type of thing. Like it's not very like it's not like a high skill game, It's kind of you're
Sure.
just like choosing the dialogue. But there's a couple other things you have to do. Like you do have to pay attention and then like hit a button fast enough so that you don't like trip over a log when you're walking or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few different things that you have to do, but mostly you're just watching this story unfold, and it's kind of like a classic horror movie, I would say, following a few different characters that are camp counselors, and it was like the last night of the camp basically, and they end up having to stay an extra night when all the other campers are gone. So it's just these camp counselors, and they're like, cabin in the woods type of style situation. And I don't really want to talk about like what the scary thing is because it's kind of like a surprise, and I think it would be fun if you or anybody listening, goes into it without knowing much.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I really enjoy it. I played through it once already. And since it's like
Oh.
a choose your own adventure, you go back and then try it different ways. It's funny though.
Wait, is that the one that you texted me
No,
about?
that's a different
No,
choose your
that's
own
a different one
adventure.
because I was like, that was choose. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the one Erin's talking about was called Oxenfree, which is
That's what
that's
it
like
is.
such a really
Yeah.
good that's such a really good game. That's a really good game as well, and that one's actually available on Netflix, which is weird, but
I tried to look for that actually last night, but
Yeah.
I couldn't find it. How do you
well,
even
I
find
think
like
I sent you the
games?
screenshot from my computer, so I don't know if you have to play it
Yes.
on like if you have to do it on the computer.
Oh, that could be. Okay,
Maybe,
yeah, I
but-
definitely was looking on like
But
just
I
my
feel
TV.
like you can do it on the TV too, so I don't really know.
I maybe didn't look hard enough. I was really trying, like I searched it
Oh, okay.
and all of that because I wanted to play it. But
Yeah. Oh, I was saying that. So I already played through it once, and I've started
Yeah.
playing through it again. And I've basically just been trying to do like as many opposite choices as I can.
That's fun.
Just for this run through. But
Yeah.
obviously, my first run through, I choose all the things that are like the nice options. Like the characters are doing like good things. And so
We're
now
the same,
yeah,
yeah.
now I'm having to do these things that just feel so bad. And I was laughing last night because it's like there was a couple times where it's like a character, the option, this isn't really spoiling much, but the character's like options were either to stay and help this person or abandon them and like run away. And so the first time I stayed and helped them both times.
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
now I'm just like, peace, see ya. And I just it feels terrible watching this computer character be like, no, wait, help me.
That would be so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But also, like, it's interesting to like get the other, or
But
just a
yeah, I
different
want to see
perspective of the
what
story.
happens. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Mhm.
I would be exactly the same way of just. I did that with like Baldur's Gate, or I have been doing that
Oh,
with
yeah.
Baldur's Gate, where it's like I've been mostly positive, and then like PJ will tell me the things that he did differently,
Mhm.
and then I'm just like, why would you do that? I don't know.
Oh. Hey, so
just-
related but unrelated. When you played
Yeah.
Hogwarts Legacy, did you learn the what are the
Oh,
what are
the
the spells?
forbidden.
Yeah,
Forbidden.
forbidden spells?
Is that what they're?
Are we?
Bad fans?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Are we even? Yeah.
Unforgivable, right? Curses? I don't know. Okay.
Anyways,
Yes,
did you learn this?
I did.
You did? Oh, wow.
I learned them, but I didn't
Do them?
put them into practice, except for I think one, but I can't remember which one. But yeah,
I didn't even learn
I was like,
them.
I'm still curious. Oh,
Okay.
what does that say about us?
One thing that bothered me about Hogwarts Legacy is that, like, your actions didn't really, like, have the craziest consequences. It's like,
Yeah.
you could learn those curses and do them, and, like, did it even really have consequences for you?
Not
Like, I wish
really.
that aspect of the game had been more fleshed out. I think that would have been really interesting.
A little bit more variety to like what you choose. I would
Are you
agree.
Googling
Sorry,
it?
I'm looking it up. Yeah, it is unforgivable curses.
Why does it? Yeah.
So, Avada Kedavra, Crucio, and Imperio.
Yeah.
Are the three, and they're illegal. But I think like what it ended up happening was like whoever you were, well, for me, whoever I was with at the time, like an NPC, was like they took over actually doing the curse, if I remember correctly. So it was like I learned it, but I didn't use it, and they did, I think. But it's also been a while, and you know my memory is not great, but I don't remember putting it like doing any of those on anything, you know? So be curious. I like those choose your own adventure types.
It's fun. So the last thing that Erin and I wanted to talk about before we got into our main topic is something exciting that we did together that relates to the podcast. So basically, a couple weeks ago, on the same day that Erin woke up at 4:30 to join me for the market, we also went and did a ghost tour in Madison.
Yeah, it was so fun. It was just kind of like a, hey, this is an offer, like something that we can do. And we were like, well, might as well add it onto our day, and super curious. I feel like I learned a ton, honestly. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely learned a lot about like the city that I live in, and it's cool because now when I walk over there, it's like sometimes I look at the buildings and I'm like, oh, am I gonna see a ghost in this building? Because like they pointed out, you know, like a certain window that people see stuff in, or even just like knowing some of the history of the buildings. It's like, oh, I used to walk past this building all the time, and now, you know, I know, I don't know, just a little bit more about it. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. You know, one thing that I wish I would have done during the tour was like take pictures of the buildings that they pointed out and like the windows and stuff, because I was like, oh, I don't see anything. But a lot of times those things come up when you take pictures.
I'm surprised that they actually didn't tell us to do that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that is something that like a lot of ghost tours will do.
Right. Yeah. I just was like, it probably wouldn't have done anything, but it would have been fun to go back and look at and stuff. So
we actually have a clip that we took right after the tour. So Erin's going to do some editing magic here and put that clip in. Just for our sake right now, Erin, do you want to watch it together so we know what we said, or should we just like leave it be and move on?
Let's leave it. I feel like we got a lot of it out during that time.
I kind of tried.
Is there anything that you would have to add?
I don't think so. I was trying to watch it a little bit before we started recording so I could remember what we even said.
Yeah.
But I think whatever we said is probably fine. Erin and I just did a walking tour, a ghost adventure tour in Madison, Wisconsin. What were your thoughts?
Like I was saying, it's fun to sort of learn about the place that you live near. I know, whatever.
That's fine.
And tour your own city kind of thing. But learned a lot. Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, most of that. It was really cool to kind of, now next time we come down, we'll have a little bit more to look at and think about.
Yeah. So basically, our tour guide took us for an hour and a half because we booked an extra additional half hour of the tour, and took us around kind of like the Capitol Square area of Madison, and made a few pit stops along the way and told us like the history of places. And I guess I didn't really I don't know, I guess I should have expected to learn a lot of history of Madison, but I was expecting more like spooky stories. I mean, he told a lot of spooky stories as well, but
Yeah. It was more historical, which is still interesting. It's just like, I don't know. I don't know. Did you want it to be a little bit more spooky, like a creepy feeling when you're there?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like it was an appropriate amount of mixture of history because you kind of need the history in order to understand the hauntings, which I appreciate, you know?
Yeah, that's true, yeah. No ghosts were seen.
No ghosts were seen. What was like the most, I don't know, what was a fact that you learned that was shocking or surprising to you or interesting to you?
I think just kind of like the initial history of Madison itself, like with the people coming and claiming, you know, land is cheap, and then later making it the capital and all of that. I don't know.
Sure.
But like ghosty wise, I feel like the Monona Terrace Lake, he said basically that there's a train track and somebody's job was to hold out a lantern, and then train came and took his.
Yeah, sometimes I black out when I'm listening to too long of stories.
I know, I do too. Either way, it was just, and actually, no, it was also an indigenous boy and his pony are seen sometimes walking, and you can hear the hooves.
Pops.
Yeah, on the rocks down by Lake Monona. So that was interesting. What about you?
Yeah, well, you already kind of know, but I was so surprised that the statue on top of the Wisconsin State Capitol building is like, so it's a statue of a woman pointing, and he said her name is Wisconsin, and she's pointing at Lake Monona, and if you're not familiar with the Capitol building, it looks the same on all four sides, and it's surrounded by a square road. It's called the Capitol Square. So if you go like in the building and then come out on the other side, it's very easy to get confused as to where you are because it looks very similar around it, all four sides. And so sometimes you're just like walking around in a circle. But if you just look at the statue on the top of the building, she's pointing at Lake Monona. So that should be able to help direct you a little bit. And yeah, I've lived in this city for a collective of 9 years and never known that. So now I can... moving forward, have a sense of direction when I'm by the Capitol.
Yep, I always get mixed up when I'm there, so now I'm definitely going to use that tip. It's like, how did we not, because she's just pointing one arm, so it's like a very obvious, everything else looks the same, but her arm is out one way, so now you can kind of navigate.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of any words. We're a little hit brain dead.
Yeah, it's been a very long day. But then, in terms of spookiness, part of why we wanted to do this tour is because one of the stops was the Majestic Theater, which we talked about in the Haunted Places in Wisconsin episode. And I was curious to see if what he had to say matched what we talked about in the episode. And how do you feel it overlapped?
I was like, ooh, we know he's going to bring up the putty man.
Yeah, but he called it the moving man.
No, didn't he say putty? Did
No,
I make that up?
Yeah, you made that up.
Okay.
He said the moving man. But the story matched. Oh, I'm sorry. The story matched the one of the putty man.
Yep.
But I was intrigued by the story of the waving man.
Okay, yeah.
I thought that one was kind of fun, like creepy. Like if that one, happened to me, that would be the most creepy. And so basically the story was that like a janitor was closing up the theater one night, and then he looked up into the balcony and he saw a man just waving at him, and he said, hey, you need to leave, the theater's closing. And the man just continued to wave, and so he decided to go up there, and there was only one way to get up to the balcony, so he would have seen the man come down the other way, but of course when he got up there, nobody was there. And so he asked some other people, in the theater that worked there, if they had ever seen this or know about this, and they said, yes, that's the waving man. And so basically that's what he does. He stands there and waves, and sometimes if you just stare at him long enough while he's waving, eventually his arm will kind of come off his body and go around the theater, or basically his body disappears and all you see left is the hand waving.
Yep. And I do want to say that I am very upset with myself. The episode that Danny did about the 5 haunted places in Wisconsin, and you talked about the Majestic, and I remember when you said that the ghost whispered good luck, and I was like, oh, well, that's very nice. But as the tour guide reminded us, That's not good to say in a theater. You don't say good luck. So honestly, they were, wishing the opposite on them. So they were spooky ghosts. Not very nice. I should have known that.
I was also interested in like the Frank Lloyd Wright. Sorry, like the Frank Lloyd Wright facts.
Yeah.
I'm not like extremely familiar with him. I know a lot of people are probably big fans of his work and everything.
Bunch of houses around.
Yeah, because I don't know if he's born in Wisconsin. But
Yeah, he said he was.
He was born here. Okay. But yeah, obviously like a lot of his work is here in Wisconsin, and we went to the Monona Terrace, which I never knew was designed by him, but it was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright, and then wasn't even built until after he passed away. Which I think it's interesting that like his legacy lived on,
Yeah, it took him a few tries, and then when he passed away, then it became his design. Aren't they redesigning it, or they're like?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Also, the lake, the Otis Redding thing.
Oh yeah, say that.
There was a famous musician back in the it was like in the 60s. He died. He was taking a plane. He had a show that night. His name is Otis Redding. He's an American singer and songwriter, 2-time Grammy winner. He rhythm and blues, soul kind of music, and his plane crashed and landed into Lake Monona, and he died that day. So a lot of just like people are like, oh, here's where Otis Redding died. Shout out to my dad for telling me that beforehand.
And then the other like Frank Lloyd Wright fact that was interesting to me was by the Capitol building, I didn't know that the south wing apparently collapsed, and that Frank Lloyd Wright witnessed this, and apparently there's an article online or a diary entry that he wrote about it. That's apparently quite graphic, because I mean that would be a graphic occurrence.
There's 7 people that passed in that with the collapse. And then the whole other thing with the what is that building called in Spring Green? Talisman? Something like that. But I'm not even going to go and tell that whole story because that was a long story. But yeah, apparently Frank Lloyd Wright's been involved in some crazy stuff. Not sure if he haunts any of these buildings. Like, it's not confirmed, but you never know.
I mean, we all know Charles Darwin was haunting my house.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
what do you rate it out of 10?
The tour, like the experience?
Yeah.
I give it 8.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
I was gonna say
nice.
7.5.
Enjoyable. Yeah.
Nice way to spend a Saturday night and walking around.
Beautiful outside. So
yeah, exactly. No regrets.
No regrets. Does it inspire you to do more ghost tours somewhere?
I don't know. I mean, yes, but I also kind of wanted to feel like you said, like a little bit more spooky. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for that you gotta almost do one that's like more like a ghost investigation tour or something, or like.
But that's
more
too spooky.
Yeah, well, more so like going inside of like a haunted hotel, kind of Stanley Hotel tour. But that one wasn't creepy either, like I said.
Yeah,
but it might have given like the more of the vibe that you're looking for.
Yeah, I just wanted to be a little bit more. Not quite to that end of like staying overnight in a haunted Airbnb or a haunted hotel, but just a little bit. But it's just it's October. I want to be spooky.
I enjoyed some of the spooky tales. I don't know. But yeah. All right. Well, that was our experience, and we wanted to share it with you.
It was fun.
It is main topic time. Do you have any guesses?
Oh, man.
Any inklings?
I'm going to make a guess because you made a guess last week for me. But I don't have any idea. Are you going to talk about Bigfoot? I'm going with with a creature because you went with a creature last week.
You're right. Yeah. Actually, yeah. No, I'm just kidding. It's no, but I do. That's on like my list of things because I'm curious about that. But I don't know if I believe in it or not. But no, we're going to talk about sleep paralysis and the Hat Man.
Oh, okay.
And it's interesting. Like, I wanted to talk a little bit about how like we do not plan these super far in advance or anything like that. But topics come up in each episode, it feels like, that make me hyperfixate on like I think at the beginning and this will probably change after spooky season, but I think at the beginning, I felt like it was just going to be completely random each time. And I think it will,
Sure.
but I just find myself, I keep
Getting
talking or
inspired by like last week's topic.
getting inspired, exactly, or like something comes up and then I just like can't stop thinking about it and I have to look into it. So
Well, yeah, and
where this
that's the definition of this podcast. So I enjoy that.
yes. I just didn't want it to be like, oh, they're all connected. Like it's not going to be that way. Like it's going to forever. It's just spooky. I don't know. I think it has you just, for me at least, it has me
these
like
are
just
all
think.
semi-related. It makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So still spooky. I think we have one more spooky episode that will come out.
Indeed.
So second to last, but we're going to dive into sleep paralysis and the Hat Man. So
I'm excited. I feel like, this is something I've heard of before, but I don't know a ton about. So I'm excited to learn some more from you.
Yeah, I think as we talked about too, like I have experienced it before.
Right.
And a lot of people have, like we'll learn about that too. But the Hat Man part is not something that I necessarily have seen, but it's so common that like these two subjects have to go together basically. So anyway, let's start with the introduction. Okay, you wake up in the dark, but something feels off. Your chest is heavy, your arms won't move. You try to scream because this feels weird, but you can't. Your voice is just gone. And standing in the doorway, motionless, faceless, is a man with a wide-brimmed hat, and he's just watching you. So that figure, I know. So that figure is known as the Hat Man. He's been seen by, I mean, all across history, all across cultures. It's just very what's weird about it to me is that there's so much like overlap from, it doesn't necessarily matter where you're from, or there's just a lot of people that report the same vision of the Hat Man during sleep paralysis. So
is there like a first reported instance of it?
There is, yes. Okay. I believe it was traced back to 1664 is the first like recorded of sleep paralysis and like some sort of, there's a lot of like different accounts, whether it's normally he's wearing a hat. A lot of times it's like a tall man, at least 6 feet, and if not like honestly like 8 to 10 feet. But it all kind of traces back for a long time, which is just crazy to me, like a shared experience without realizing, I guess.
Kind of like how people all have common dreams, like we've talked about previously as well.
Yeah, like common themes of dreams, but like this, like the Hat Man is something that is pretty solid from one
like very
person
specific
to another.
And
very specific, but there are variations, but at the same time, like not enough to be like it's completely like these are separate from each other. You know what I mean? It's just very it's very similar, and like that makes it eerie to me. So, and it also made me think of in K-pop Demon Hunters when the Saja boys do the song Your Idol, is that what it's called? And they're wearing like the brimmed hat and they have the red eyes and like the long coat. You don't remember, do
I don't remember.
Let me go.
I'm so sorry.
Dwight, can you come over? No, it was it's one of like the last songs I think that they sing, but I was like, I wonder if that was like pulled from this sort of phenomenon, because it's very similar of like just the wide brim hat. It's creepy, it's dark, it's usually, like I said, like a long coat or some sort of longer garment. So anyway, today we are pulling apart the myth, the neuroscience, and the shared terror of the Hat Man and sleep paralysis. Because maybe he's not just in our heads, maybe he's something deeper in our species. Species. You never know, right?
Interesting.
So would you prefer to hear first about the
choose
science?
my own adventure. Sorry.
Yes, exactly. No, that all it all lines up. I didn't even plan that, like obviously with but would you prefer to learn more about the science behind sleep paralysis or the Hat Man history to start?
History, please.
Okay. So the Hat Man is a unique figure that has been reported, like I said, in multiple cultures and civilizations around the world, typically associated with that sleep paralysis. So it's almost like there are times that he's reported without having sleep paralysis, but there it's more times that it's like this shared experience, like I mentioned. So many different places. The description does vary a little bit from one culture to another. So, like, anyway, 6 feet, like I mentioned, to 10 feet, sometimes taller. His eyes can be bright red or he can just be completely black. Some people claim that he carries a golden pocket watch, which is he like takes out and looks at during this experience essentially. Some say that he's a little bit more like mist-like and some say that he's more solid. So there's some variation. Typically it's the long coat, like I mentioned, like a trench coat, jacket, and usually with some distinguishable hat. So most of the time it's the brimmed, but in other cultures there may be like more of like a, I wouldn't say cowboy hat, but more of like a
Western style?
a Western hat, and then sometimes like a fedora. It just depends. But typically it's always he's just there. He's quiet in the corner. He's not necessarily always like he's not harming you. He's not touching you. He's not trying to attack you. He's just sort of observing. Some people say that they see him hover a little bit closer and a little bit over like their chest. But it tends to he just tends to be a bit more of like an observer based on what people have reported. And again, there's a lot of those that, have come forward just kind of watching you. Some, I guess just in general, I feel like, I don't know if that's almost more, I don't want them to attack you, but it's almost like more creepy to just be like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, you're just kind of like waiting for something to happen.
Especially if he looks like, if he has like the red eyes, it's just like, well, there's something you would perceive evil. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm glad he doesn't typically do that, but it's just, it's an interesting observation. There's a lot of theories that go into like why that is as well, too.
And so I always feel like my questions I'm getting ahead of myself. So if he's just watching and then does he just disappear? Like
typically.
Okay.
Yeah. Typically because the sleep paralysis sessions may last anywhere from like a minute to maybe 20 minutes, but even in that time typically he disappears.
Sounds terrible.
I know.
Yeah. In paralysis for 20 minutes just watching that.
No, thank you. Yep. Nope. No thanks. But there's a ton of history with the Hat Man. So in terms of like when he first became a little bit more well known because of like the internet and whatnot was like the late 90s before TikTok and Reddit even, but people in forums would describe this like shadow figure, tall, brimmed hat, sometimes glowing red eyes, often standing at the edge of their vision. But you can trace back, like I mentioned, this sort of similar description to multiple cultures. So in folklore, so there's the Turkish I'm going to butcher this, but the Turkish Karabasan, which that is the Turkish word for malevolent spirit or sleep paralysis experience where a person is unable to move while sleeping, but seeing like some sort of figure. So it's essentially the same thing. In folklore, in Turkish folklore, it serves as a cultural interpretation of sleep paralysis, like I mentioned, with kara meaning back or evil and basin meaning presser. So it all just is very similar from one to another. There's also the Sardinian. This is also, I should have looked up how to pronounce these things. Sardinian, it's Ammuttadori, okay? Ammuttadori?
I need to
which
see that
is
visually.
I know we're gonna have to like write this out, but that's a mythological creature associated with sleep paralysis as well. Typically, it immobilizes people in those situations. Sardinia is an Italian island. It's that one typically will sit on a person's chest, leading to almost feeling like suffocation. But it represents like a lot of people say that it represents like the deepest fears, nightmare demon, you know, a little bit more evil, I think, too. And then in Albania, there is the Mukthi, which is a male spirit associated with sleep paralysis who is said to visit tired or suffering women specifically. It translates to nightmare in Albanian. Similar concept of even like a night hag is another well-known and reported over multiple times in cultures figure of some kind, the night hag. And actually, fun fact, the word nightmare actually comes from, so night, obviously, you know, at night, and then mare is like woman, so it comes from this like night hag premonition or
interesting.
Hallucination or whatever you want to think it is. Honestly, that's the other part of all this is like, what do you is it real, is it not? I thought that was interesting. Yeah, like nightmare.
Yeah, I never really thought about like what that means, but because I mean it makes sense. Like yeah, I never just thought about the mare aspect of
Agreed.
it. But yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's what I said the same thing, and I was like, of course it's blamed on women, but it's fine.
So question about this, you said the night hag, or what did you say she was called?
Night hag, yep.
Okay, and so that was just another country's version of basically this hat man?
Essentially, yeah. Okay. Of like that one, there's overlap between like the sitting on the chest part and the figure. So some people see it as, like I mentioned, like the man in the corner, or some people see it as a man on your chest, and then some people see it as a woman on your chest. So so just not necessarily
similar beings and creatures. Okay.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. So whether they're all connected, but they all seem to be connected to sleep paralysis. So that's also like a common denominator there. And actually in some stories when it is the Hat Man, if you steal his hat, apparently you can gain a wish.
Oh.
But then he comes back for you later. So
I feel like I know that you've never seen American Horror Story, but I think that the Hat Man was in season 3.
Probably. He's like I mentioned, just very well known across.
Yeah, because it was this guy that had like a top hat, and it's been such a long time since I've seen that season. So I'm sorry if I'm wrong about this, but everything you're describing just kind of reminds me of this character that was in that season, and I especially when you brought up the wish thing.
Yes. Yep. So I think that you're probably right, because it does come across in so many different ways. Let me send you somebody's story about all of this. Let me send this over. I'm just going to text it to you. It's an anonymous post in 2024.
All right. It says, he stood by the door, same as always, hat tilted, no face. I was sure I was awake. My dog was barking. My phone light was still on, but he didn't move. He just stayed there until I could scream. Yeah, the dog barking sounds awful, because then it's like, well, my dog sees this too.
Right? I know. That would just like confirm. Sometimes I'm like sitting there and I hear something at night, and then I'm like, well, if my dogs aren't barking, then it's fine. Yeah. You know,
when Evie was around, like sometimes we would hear something and both of us just look at each other. Like, I feel like she would get spooked too.
Oh, like, did you guys hear that as well?
Yeah. We're just, well, I guess it's all right.
Yeah. But that story just kind of like has me a little bit in chills. Just I think this whole thing is just that it sounds for the most part ordinary, you know, like he's not hurting for the most part. There's no ritual. There's no like even just like threat necessarily for the most part. But it just sounds so.
It's creepy. And I feel like this. Okay, this kind of goes with like just how me and you both find ghost things scarier, right? Than like we talked about like hacker slasher type movies and everything. Like I don't really find, you know, anything related to like zombies or monsters, those types of things scary, even though they
Agreed.
can be so like outlandish and like gory and do you know what I mean? Like they just go out of their way to make these things really scary, and those things don't
Yes.
bother me at all. But when you have like these little subtle moments in scary movies with ghosts, and I know me and you have talked about this at length, but those types of things to me are a lot creepier, and I have never really been able to place my finger on why. The only thing I got is just maybe it's just like the unknown or just the anticipation of something happening.
That's a good way to put it. Because I've definitely been thinking about it a lot more since we've like had these
Mm-hmm.
conversations. Because, yeah, what is it that's so creepy about more so the ghost or the demon or the, you know, some sort of
Mm-hmm.
entity that's not there? And I think with zombies, it's like, okay, typically there's a virus that happened or something, and it's like real
It's like in your
versus
face.
in your
I don't know.
face. And not saying that, yeah, ghosts aren't real, but more just like almost others to corroborate as well. That I think kind of gets me when I watch
Others to
some
corroborate. What do you mean?
yeah. So like with zombies, typically it's like a whole population that is or
Mm,
is not, right? So you have
okay.
others around you that are like, nope, we're trying to protect ourselves from these zombies.
Okay.
Versus a ghost, a lot of times it happens just with yourself.
Oh, yeah,
Or
yeah.
and so it's like, did I imagine that? Did I,
Hmm.
did I make this up? Did I just like over exaggerate? I think you start to question it more versus having others around you to be
Sure.
like, this is actually a thing, you know?
Yes, I do. And that reminds me specifically of a scene from the movie Hereditary, which I don't think
Ooh.
you've seen. Um,
Mm-mm.
horrible, horrible, terrible movie. Don't ever watch it. It's
Okay.
actually an amazing movie. It's just like the scariest, like one of my top scariest movies of all time. And also,
Okay.
there's a
Yep.
horrific scene involving a kid. But
Oh no.
yeah. So, but anyways, one thing that that movie did really well, and it's 100% a ghost movie.
Mm-hmm.
The one of the guys that's in this family who's being haunted, you know,
Yeah.
he's at home and the scary things are happening at home, and that's what me and you find really scary and spooky, right? And like you said, like you're
Mm-hmm.
kind of alone and you're questioning everything. And then I always feel like, okay, the night's passed, it's the daytime, things are less spooky, right? But in this
Yep.
movie he goes to school, and then this thing kind of follows him at school, and
Oh
that
no.
really bothered me because then it was kind of like, oh, this is cemented. This is happening to you. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. 100%. I think that, yeah, there is like a safety in the daytime. And so
Yeah,
if you
and public
see
places, right?
and public places. So like if you do see these things, oh God, I think that that's where I would go from like, okay, let's see and let's be curious about this as long as it's not evil to then being like fucked up for the
Yeah.
rest of my life. Like that's when, like you said, it just feels a bit more
Hmm.
real, I guess, if that were the case.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So all
get the
that being
chills.
said, yeah, the Hat Man is he's creepy because it's like, what are you up to? What's your story?
Yeah, not again, not that you want him to be evil, but at the
Right.
same time it's just like it's just unnerving that you're
That's a
just
good word for
standing
it.
there. Like you're
Unnerving.
just a man that shouldn't be there, who you know shouldn't be there. I don't know.
Hmm.
It's ugh, I don't know. It all gives me the creeps, obviously. Um, some people actually some like studies will say that the reason you can't see necessarily more than just his eyes is because there's something messed up with his head or face as
Oh,
well, which like that's a kindness to just give us like a black outline instead of like potentially showing something even more horrifying, I
sure.
guess. I just thought that was interesting because like sometimes they will say that they're just covering up themselves, like the Hat Man or the Hag may be covering themselves more, wearing the hat, having like the trench coat just for the reason of like there's something even further like messed up about them and they
Hmm.
don't necessarily want to see, which also feels a little bit human to me too, of just being like, don't see my imperfections, but
Hmm.
that's a whole other tangent. So um Anyway, so that was kind of what I wanted to talk about with him. So, shifting into the science behind sleep paralysis. So, the reason these go together, like I mentioned, is because it's typically seen, like the Hat Man is typically seen during an episode of sleep paralysis, and again, just reported over cultures, civilizations, years, decades, centuries, even. So, scientifically, sleep paralysis happens when your brain is awake and your body's not yet. So, what happens is when you're in REM sleep, your muscles.
Sorry, I always have to repeat whenever we have a word. It just comes out. I don't have a choice over it.
I love it though, because it's like it's human again. I'll like the authenticity of it all. During REM sleep, your muscles will shut down, and the reason that is because if you are dreaming, they don't want to act that out. And hurt yourself, fall off the bed, like flail. So it's called REM atonia is what happens typically during REM sleep. But then when you have sleep paralysis, you become conscious while still frozen, essentially.
Dreaming is just like, dreaming is just like the weirdest thing about humans, I feel.
I agree.
And about, animals, because we obviously know that animals dream as well, but
yep.
Yeah.
No, I agree. It's like, that's, again, just like a whole other
really
subject too. Like, it's weird. Like, I even mentioned in a previous episode of like, I haven't thought about this person for years, or not even recently or something like that. Or I didn't even recognize this event being anything worth of note, but then for some reason it shows up in your dream. Like, oh,
well, and my
so many
thing
questions.
too is like, my dreams are so vivid and detailed, and the landscapes that my brain can come up with is just wild, like the cityscapes, and it just feels like you're really there, and my brain cannot imagine that right now. Like, do you know what I mean? But my sleep brain can.
If you put yourself to the test, well, like to come up with some cityscape or something now as being awake, it would be like, oh, I can't even, like, you get to a certain point, but but then dreams would be, it's just like
it's so real that you're there,
so real. Oh, it's scary.
Yeah,
do you ever lucid dream?
Oh my gosh, I did it once and it was crazy, and then I was like, whoa, this is actually a thing that can happen. That's insane.
Yeah.
But
when was that?
It was, maybe a couple years ago.
Okay.
Pretty much what happened was, sorry to tangent. What happened in the dream was that I remember I was like sitting in a school bus in the dream, and then I like turned around and looked out the back window, and there was like a T-Rex chasing the bus. And in my dream I went, that's ridiculous. This is a dream right now. Like, that's the most ridiculous thing. And then I didn't wake up. And so then I was like, oh, I'm dreaming. I can control this dream. And I just started kind of manipulating the world around me, and it was crazy. And then, yeah, that kind of changed my opinion on lucid dreaming, because I really thought people were making it up.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've definitely done it before too. I think multiple times it's happened where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm dreaming. Let me just like, I'm going to, not run after this because I know it's not real. Like, it's such a weird thing to go through and describe to people that haven't been through it as well. So
yeah, usually if I realize I'm dreaming, it's because it's like a nightmare, and then I can wake myself up. But yeah, that was the only time it was like a good time. I don't know.
I hear you. Yep.
So have you ever like purposefully tried to lucid dream? I know that a lot of people do that.
Because it happened a couple of times in a row, I was like, oh, I'm actually in like a decent dream right now. And I think I was like flying or something fun,
cool.
Like something like that, where I was like, oh, I'm like starting to wake up, and I was like, no, I want to go back. Like, and I've been able to go back into the dream and pick up where I left off. But it's definitely like almost like a muscle that you have to flex and keep doing. But how you do that, I have no idea. Like, how do you just be like, I want to practice tonight lucid dreaming? It's not like that either. It's not necessarily always your decision, I guess. So
yeah,
dreams are a whole nother subject. And then there's the whole
yeah.
like astral projection, which I won't even get into as well. So, there's so much that goes into all of this. But anyway, back to sleep paralysis. So again, you're stuck sort of in this state of your muscles are supposed to be paralyzed so you don't hurt yourself or others, but your consciousness is aware and awake to a certain point typically, but you're just, you're frozen. I forgot. Did you say that you have had it like once?
Sleep paralysis?
Sleep paralysis? Yeah.
Yeah, it's happened like a couple times, and it's never been, something like super scary or problematic. Like, it was really fast. Just like a really quick, like, wake up. Oh, and maybe I saw the Hat Man, but it wasn't really the Hat Man. It was more of just a black figure. But I didn't see enough details for there to like be a hat or red eyes or anything like that. But there would be like a tall black figure at the foot of the bed, but it would go away so quickly.
Okay. And what would make it go away? Would it just
like
would on its own?
Kind of waking up, like just kind of getting, out of that trance essentially.
Okay. Yeah. And do you remember the last time that you had sleep paralysis? Like rough, obviously.
I mean, well, I feel like I had a vague experience with it not too long ago, like something kind of similar to that. Yeah. So like, I don't know, maybe a couple months ago.
And does it happen to you when you're starting to fall asleep or when you're like later on in your
definitely
sleep?
Later on.
See, and okay, so that's why I was asking, because for me, it always happens, like, I can almost tell when I'm going into a state of sleep paralysis. Like, I can feel it. Yeah.
And so while you're dreaming?
It's not, no, because I'm awake, but I can feel my muscles are in
you're kind of falling asleep.
I'm falling asleep.
But it's like your body's falling asleep, but your brain isn't yet.
My body's falling asleep. So that's the only time I think I've ever had it has been that way, is like falling asleep. And so after you realize that, like that feeling, I would try so hard to be like, well, no, I can't fall asleep yet, and like do something to stay awake for a bit. It's not, it's not fun. But I think I mentioned in a previous episode, the only thing that ever gets me out of sleep paralysis is I just have to put all my energy into moving a finger, a toe, an arm jerk, like something. And as soon as that happens, it's like that.
Interesting.
I come out of it. But it takes all my energy, all of like my focus, and I have to put aside whatever I'm seeing.
Oh, that's awful.
In order to get to that point, because I know that's what's going to get me out.
Do you think it takes you?
Probably not long, honestly.
But it feels awful because it's scary.
It feels awful, exactly, yeah. And but the first time I ever had sleep paralysis, and I explained it to her, and it was very like, I don't know what that is, and then just kind of move on. And so I was like, oh, I'm possessed. I'm like gonna have this demon haunting me forever. That's what this is.
Scary.
Again, no fault, but I just remember being like, okay, so this is my life now. I'm never gonna get out of this. And then it didn't happen the next night.
And how old were you when that happened?
I think the first time it happened, I was 17.
Okay.
I wasn't quite out of high school, but I was towards the end. And then I had it a few times. I haven't had it in a bit, knock on wood. But it feels like I had it when I was younger, like between 17 and like 23, I think.
And I feel like it's unfortunate that you had that before you probably ever took a psychology class, because by the time that I ever experienced it, I knew what it was. So it really wasn't that scary to me. I was like, oh, whatever. There was a little bit of sleep paralysis, I guess, Yep.
No
biggie.
Yeah. No, it was a spiral for a while. Anyway, so we talked about like the atonia. Sometimes your brain is still dreaming while your eyes are like sort of becoming open, which is why people see the shadowy shapes or the Hat Man. Sleep paralysis happens. It can persist into awakening. So most sufferers have vivid, multisensory, and frequently depressing dream activities during these sessions. So it's not just seeing, it's like feeling, and potentially even, I didn't look too much into this, but potentially even like like smelling or just like or different senses that come
Oh,
alive.
okay.
So that almost makes it feel more real,
Right.
if it's multiple. And it can last, like I mentioned, so a few minutes, but sometimes can last up to 20 minutes. Sometimes people feel more of like a presence or something pushing them down as well. So
Mm.
more of like that chest. So maybe some of the thought is like if you see something on your chest, you get the feeling of pushing down, obviously. And sometimes people just have the pushing down, and sometimes people just have the somebody sitting on my chest. So
Okay.
in general, 75% of them will include terrifying hallucinations. It's just like, yeah, that's all I got. No. There's a researcher named Dr. Balan Jalal who is like one of the leading researchers on this. He says it's more of like a misfire of consciousness.
Mhm.
So things aren't on the same page. Typically, he's found that people under high stress, sleep deprivation, or have experienced trauma are more likely to experience sleep paralysis. Um, in terms of what he recommends for help with it is meditation and muscle relaxation techniques to reduce these situations from
Yeah.
happening. So,
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I wonder why. So, people that experience sleep paralysis
mhm.
are often highly stressed, like you said. So, I guess in that regard, it makes sense that the hallucinations that people have are often scary. But basically, I'm wondering why people don't hallucinate like fun things. Because, like, we all have fun dreams as well. So, like,
Yeah.
why aren't we hallucinating a gingerbread man? I don't know. I was trying to think of anything that would be pleasant to see. Maybe that would be scary too. But
Depends on how he acts.
like I don't know, because like
I know what you
is it
mean.
mostly just scary because it's like you're obviously waking up in your dark room, so like anything in that context would be scary, but like what would be pleasant to see, you know?
Yeah. No, it's a valid it's a valid question if it's like some like I'm picturing like a do you remember the berries and cream? Berries
Oh
and
my
cream.
God. Yeah.
Which might be creepy at night
That's
like you're
insane. The context. It's all about that. I mean, that would be creepy anytime, maybe. I don't
maybe,
know.
yeah. But just like yeah, something that's obviously not trying to
Ugh.
harm you, but because of the setting,
Yeah.
it feels maybe, yeah, maybe this hat man is just like trying to just be like, "Hey, bro, you good?" Like,
Yeah.
I'm just here to check on you. I know you're stressed. So, but anyway, I think that
Maybe
that's a fair question.
I just went on a spiral in my own head. I was
You're
gonna say
good.
maybe the Hat Man is the Sandman. Because I was like thinking about him
Ah,
with his pocket watch and he's like watching the time. And I was thinking like maybe he's just watching a time for you, like making sure that you're on schedule. And you know, the Sandman's out there making sure you're asleep. So
mm-hmm.
maybe they're just together. That is the Sandman coming to make
Yeah.
sure that you stay asleep.
Sandman, Gingerbread Man. I mean, no,
Oh,
I hear you. I hear you. I think that that's there could be some
I'm
goodness
just
to it.
making silly things
No,
up, but
I
yeah.
know. I like it. No, it's good. But there's also like a theory that has to do with mirror neurons. Do you know too much about?
Oh, so yeah, mirror neurons. This is in my brain. Let me
Okay.
get it out. So it's basically the idea of like, let's say that I'm watching somebody do something, like I'm watching somebody ride a bicycle. The neurons in my brain that would be activated if I were riding a bicycle are being activated, even though I'm not the one doing the activity, I'm watching somebody else do it.
Correct. Yep, that's a way better explanation than what I have. Because what I have is like when you watch someone smile, your brain copies them a little, even if you don't move your face. That's because of mirror neurons. So,
I feel like
uh,
that's probably a
I
better
know,
explanation.
but
I
no,
chose like a
I
really
think,
active
but that's
activity.
what it is active though, and
Okay.
especially in this situation too, is like there's just something that's innate in us as humans to relate to other humans that we can't even control in this way. So there's special brain cells that mirror what other people do or feel. They help us understand and feel what others are feeling. So like empathy, fear, just anything new as well, or like you mentioned, like situations that you've been in before that you can relate to or you can imagine. So they mentioned that it could be due to mirror neurons because when you're in sleep paralysis, those might get confused essentially. So your mirror neurons might get confused. They can make your brain imagine movement or presence like another being in the room with you because they're used to sensing others' actions and emotions.
So like, okay. So it's saying that our brain is used to having other people in the room with us. So our mirror neurons are basically saying like, oh, there's probably another person in this room.
And not necessarily just like another person in this room because it's at night. You normally have somebody in your bedroom at night or something like that. It's more just like they want to recognize presence and movement, and that's what they're like triggered on. So they don't know if it's night and day. I'm talking to them or talking about them like they're a freaking sentient being.
This
But
is a silly episode.
this is a silly episode. But just like they're trying to make sense of it all. And because you recognize movement and other people pretty often as a human, it's kind of just trying to sense and put it together. But then since your body can't move and you're also sort of half dreaming, your brain might accidentally project those signals outward. So it can feel like someone else is there, even though it's just your own brain's mirroring system that's just misfiring. So kind of like in an in-between state in a lot of ways is what it's been described as. So
Makes sense to me.
yeah, I could see that too. So around 20% of people have an episode of sleep paralysis at least occasionally, and of them, it's the 75% that suffer the hallucinations along with the sleep paralysis. They are often informally referred to as sleep paralysis demons. Another common thing that people theorize is that Benadryl actually can cause these hallucinations. So obviously used to treat allergies, hay fever, and there's an active ingredient in it that is also the same active ingredient in cough syrup, which is I think it's
okay.
Oh gosh. Diphenhydramine.
Good job.
Okay. And there just seems to be a little bit of a correlation or some correlation with people that use Benadryl or use it more often and having these hallucinations and sleep paralysis. So
that totally makes sense.
Yeah, that I can see. Then some people will actually ingest large amounts of Benadryl just to see the Hat Man or shadow people.
Oh gosh, don't do that, people. That sounds like a bad idea.
Do not recommend. There's been some concern, of course, because of that. And it also afterwards can lead to agitation, confusion, depression, drowsiness, more hallucinations, and seizures. Over 100 different cultures have terminology for sleep paralysis, though, which is insane to me. Like that's what's so fascinating to me is just like it's such a shared experience in so many ways that shouldn't be a thing if it's not like a single event. It's shared for many centuries, many cultures. Doesn't matter where you're from. This is just something as a human that a decent amount of people go through, and there's so many theories and mythology and folklore, but also like science around it, which is just like fascinating. I don't know, fascinating to me that it happens. So
it just solidifies, that it's a human experience.
Yeah,
I don't really have anything profound to say other than that.
No, it is. I think that's why I like it though. Like we tend to, be drawn towards these like curious human behavior or anything, something along those lines. Medieval Europe, they determined at that time it was demons for sure, is kind of like what their conclusion was. So there's always some sort of negative entity or negative connotation to it, even though he doesn't do anything for the most part,
Yeah. Creepy though.
Creepy, exactly. My demon children with black eyes, I think, were not. I would rather Hat Man than
I mean, that's terrible.
Yeah. They also can relate it to people that have like narcolepsy or sleep
Mm,
apnea too. So people that have those conditions or one of those conditions tend to have more experiences of sleep paralysis. So I thought that was interesting. So some of like the medications used for narcolepsy and sleep apnea can actually help avoid and prevent those occurrences from happening. So
okay.
I count myself lucky that it's only happened a handful of times to me, but even
Hmm.
in those handful of times, it's freaking scary.
When's the last
Uh,
time it happened to you?
Probably been about 3 years since I like noticed myself falling asleep, and I was like, I'm gonna go into a state of sleep paralysis if I
Oh,
keep falling asleep. So I didn't let myself get to that point, which is,
okay. You just like
but
wake yourself up kind of
I
thing?
just, yeah, wake myself up. I just like, I'll turn something on. I'll
Mm.
like, like don't fall asleep yet because you're gonna fall asleep into sleep paralysis. I don't know.
Ugh.
If anybody else has that experience, let me know. I don't know if that's just me, but I can like tell when
Hmm.
because it's always when I'm falling asleep that I have it. Okay, so I wanted to say that I think the reason that this phenomenon hits people so hard is that it challenges what we trust most, which is our sense of what's real when we're
Hmm.
awake. Like
Mm.
I think that's part of it too. I want you to read just one more. There was a 2023 Vogue piece on sleep paralysis that I thought it's just another account.
All right, ready?
Yep.
It says, when I finally opened my eyes, he was standing closer than before. The air felt thick, like gravity doubled. He raised a hand, not to reach, but to acknowledge me, like he knew I could see him this time. So he like waved.
Yeah.
Sounds
But you
like.
see what I mean? It's just like it's not threatening, but it still feels threatening, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think when you see him. And like I mentioned, other people have different experiences, whether it's him, it's the hag, it's nothing. Some people don't see anything, they don't hallucinate during sleep paralysis. It doesn't always mean one equals the other, but it's pretty common enough to make it just like this human experience, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
based on what we've been talking about. So what is the Hat Man? A shared neurological like hiccup or just like a portrayal of fear across cultures and generations? Or is it, some people even think that it's like a slip through time, uh,
Oh,
like a crack between sleeping and waking that shifts to another dimension, and he's there because and actually some people also say that he is an alien life form
oh,
that is there to check on you as well from like an observational standpoint too. So there's
interesting.
all kinds of different things around it, but in every culture, every century, there's always been someone in the dark just watching. And yeah, that was really all I kind of wanted to talk about with sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
I just find it fascinating, and it's scary if you've gone through it before. It is
Mm-hmm.
not fun whether there's a presence or not, I feel like, because you're just out of control of yourself. But it's just really that space between consciousness and sleep, and your body's paralyzed, you can't move. Like, just imagine your brain being awake, but your body not being able to move if you've never experienced this. It's the weirdest thing. It's like
Yeah.
almost you can't really understand it unless you've gone through it, I feel like, as much as you want to
Yeah.
describe it.
And I feel like it's just interesting because it's kind of where science meets paranormal almost because it's
Yes.
like there is, full science behind this and it makes complete sense,
And
but
theories and like, mm-hmm.
it's so creepy at the same time, you know?
Yeah. And why did people, 400 years ago experience this and we still do
Hmm.
too? Like, is there
Well,
some people,
we're still evolutionarily the
yeah.
same as we
Yep.
were 400 years ago, so
Right.
that makes sense
Right.
to me.
Yeah.
But it's
I don't know.
interesting that like the hallucinations that our brains come up with are the same.
Mm-hmm.
I had a question in your research. Did the Slender Man ever come up? Or it's like, I'm just curious if there was any relation between those two things because
Yeah.
Slender Man is like just similarly shaped, I would say. I mean, he's not really wearing a hat, but
Yep.
it's just
Yep.
kind of a similar figure.
It briefly came up, and I honestly don't know too much about Slender Man, to be
Hmm.
honest. But
I
so
don't either.
the main difference is that the Hat Man is this figure associated with sleep paralysis and urban
Yeah.
legends of shadow people, while Slender Man is a fictional character with
Mm.
supernatural abilities, like a little bit, I think, a little bit more real. I guess. Hatman is typically a silhouette, while Slenderman is a tall, thin figure in a suit.
I see. So like the Slender Man is more like visually
Real.
three-dimensional in a way, whereas like the
Yes.
Hat Man is just a silhouette. Okay.
And
that makes sense.
Slenderman doesn't seem to be related to sleep paralysis, but he's more of a villain in horror stories that torments victims.
Okay.
But I had that same question because I was like, it did get brought up once, like in one article that I was reading, but then I was like, I don't have time to,
It's a whole
to
other
go
tangent.
through that. That's
yeah.
a whole nother tangent. We already do enough of that. But but no, I think that's a valid question because I picture them like physically looking very similar, you know, tall
Right.
suit or a jacket or something, but it seems like the Hat Man is a little bit more ambiguous, like a little less detailed so far. So yeah. Anyway, I hope nobody has a session of sleep paralysis tonight or ever again.
I'm going to be thinking about the Hat Man when I'm trying to sleep tonight.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
actually,
sorry.
you know what I'm more scared about is making the TikToks and Reels. Because I was texting Erin because I was trying to make, posts, and I'm trying to like find pictures that are related to the things we're talking about, which means that this month I'm looking up like horrible, scary things all the time, and it's just like scary. Like I don't know what's gonna come up when I type this in. Jump scare to me.
After October, we're gonna have to take a little bit of a break from the spooky. It's been fun.
Sure.
I love the spooky, but yeah, there's definitely
we'll
a bit of
a palate cleanser a little bit.
Yes, 100%. Which I know that like the ideas I have, hopefully will be that. So
same.
We'll get there. But it's October. You got to be spooky and embrace that side of yourself. You know?
Totally. All right, closer time.
All right. Well, I hope that was fun. I enjoyed researching. I hope you enjoyed learning.
I did.
But that's it for this week's rabbit hole. Next week, we'll see. Again, it'll be spooky. We know that much. Any other clues, Danny?
I still haven't decided, so no.
That's okay. All right. I literally didn't decide until yesterday.
Okay, great.
I went back and forth, or 2 days ago, I guess. But anyway, tell us what you're currently hyperfixated on. Let us know in the comments. Send us a DM, send us an email. Let the Hat Man know, and he'll maybe pass the message along. And hopefully not, but anyway, maybe your obsession will make it into a future episode. We can be found on Instagram, TikTok. You can email us. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. So yeah, let us know what you think. Again, we're also still new, so feedback, super helpful as well as we keep going here. But until next week, embrace the spiral, stay curious, and we will see you next time. Bye.